The Democrats, everyone's favorite party.
The Democrats.
The Democrats, the adrenochrome boys. And we're going to start off with a fail son whose fail sonness was only very recently clenched. And that is Joseph P. Kennedy III of Massachusetts, of the Hyannis Kennedys. And his name is specifically evocative because he's named originally for Joseph P. Kennedy I, who was a ruthless bootlegger, stock jobber, real estate vulture, Hollywood mogul, and political power broker who single-handedly brought Irish Catholics from the periphery of the Democratic Party to the vital center by conspiring with Sam Giancana to make his horny, physically decrepit son president. Just a sheer will to power. Stopped only, honestly, from becoming president himself by his hilarious anti-Semitism. But his grandsire, Joseph P. Kennedy III, or great-grandsire, rather, is a small bean whom Congress, a small, wet bean. Joe P. Kennedy Trey hustled his way to Stanford somehow. He got in. I don't know. Also, Stanford. You can always tell the failed Kennedys by the ones who didn't go to Harvard, because JFK Jr. also, he went to Brown. It's like, goddamn kid, what the hell? And while he's there, he hilariously joined a fraternity, the Kappa Alpha Order, that cites Robert E. Lee as their spiritual inspiration. And is really notorious for doing Confederacy-themed rush events at other campuses. And while he was there, he was so notorious for his aversion to alcohol that he earned the nickname Milkman.
Oh,
and I really think that it was probably just the color of his skin more than his teetotalism.
They are truly degrading. At this point, he's like one of the degenerated SpongeBob memes of a Kennedy.
Yeah, no, he's like if the Kennedys had fled to live in the sewers and evolved into the creatures from The Descent.
Yeah, they're cave fish. They won't have eyes soon.
Yeah, no eyes shortly.
There's a lot making Joe the Third very strong in his bracket. And, before we get into the debate, I'm going to just sort of list some of them off. He's a great example of degeneration.
Oh, yes.
You start with Joseph Kennedy Sr. He was so anti-Semitic that he had to come up with a different name for Jews. Because what he said was even too vile for the 1930s. He had to call them geese.
Wait, what?
He would call them geese because he was like, they're loud, they always congregate in a bunch. Everyone hates them. But he had to even kind of dog whistle that, even for then. And then you go to his kids, and his kids were, the main prize son, he was killed in World War II. But his backup, the second string quarterback of the Kennedy family, he, Eskimo brothers with one of the most powerful mob leaders in the country, Sam Giancana, killed by the deep state. His brothers, they were sort of foul in their own right, but one did get elected to Senate. One was Attorney General.
Yeah.
One was enough of a threat that the deep state killed him also.
Yes.
And then Joe the Third. Let's think of it. Let's unpack Joe the Third's recent loss a little bit. Have you ever seen a primary challenger backed by the Speaker of the House, who is of that party? One of the heads of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, like Mark Pocan, getting it from all sides, flush with money, also using a super PAC, just eats it by double digits. How bad do you have to fuck up to be the first candidate to lose in Massachusetts?
Ooh,
I know.
Brutal. The first ever. Ever. It's never happened before.
Yeah. I will, not to be terribly, defensive of him, but he's still breathing. And given his handicap,
That's the actual own, though. A Kennedy who survives is a defective Kennedy.
Yeah, you even failed to self-destruct.
Yeah, right, exactly. And people say, what about Teddy? It's like, Teddy was a degraded-ass Kennedy. They turned him into a lion of the Senate because all the other ones were dead.
It's true.
He was always the pupil Kennedy, the one who didn't quite bake all the way through. But just because of how far the family fell, he is a titan, and certainly is a titan compared to this kid who couldn't even get elected in the state where they are basically all the people in Massachusetts are the people from Innsmouth who worship the old ones.
Yeah.
And the old ones are the Kennedys.
Yeah, it's true. You have two jobs. One is to win in Massachusetts and the other is to self-destruct. It reminds me kind of this documentary I saw made shortly after 9/11 about failed suicide bombers and the weight that they carried with them because they still greatly regretted their inability to
pull the trigger.
Have their mission. That was their mission.
You mean like Vietnam vets, just the emotional weight that they carried?
They were haunted. They were truly haunted.
Yeah, there's a great book about kamikaze pilots who, for whatever reason, they survived or the thing didn't go off. And I don't know. I don't know what the rest of Joe the Third's life has in store for him. With Pete Buttigieg, when he lost, I was kind of like, well, that was part of the design. We're going to have to deal with him for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, he did his job.
Joe the Third, no one's buying that crap. Nobody.
Nope.
No.
And the funny thing is that it's not even like he had some. They set him up to have a big star-making turn to launch him onto national prominence, where he could run for Senate or president, which apparently some of his fucking advisors were telling him to do. Go straight from the House to the presidency in 2020. And the thing that was supposed to do it was the State of the Union reply in 2018, and he came out and just stammered and muttered like a kid asking for his prom date's car keys. And the only thing anyone remembered was just how wildly wet his fucking mouth was.
Yeah.
He was just a wet, stammering boy, and no one liked it. But there was this effort at the top levels of the Democratic media campaign, and then the most well-trained lapdogs among the populace be like, yes, this is amazing. And then that was what they tried to use to lead him to a senatorial race, and it was pure name recognition for 2 months, and then people actually looked at him and saw his lidless eyes blinking at them and just said nope. And now honestly I feel like he's relieved, because at no point did he ever indicate any actual desire to do what he was doing. When they asked him, why are you doing this? He just clutched up something about family duty. He thinks that to be a Kennedy, he has to do this, even though no other part of him wants him to. And that's why I kind of feel happy for him that he ate shit so badly, because now he can go off and do whatever the hell it is he really wants to do.
It's a strange obligation that he didn't fully understand. This ingrained belief that the aimless swamp people of Massachusetts just needs a Kennedy.
Yeah.
And he happened to be the next guy available.
Yeah. If he could be a very upbeat HR director who does team building exercises, I think that'd be the acme of his interaction with the public.
True.
We'll
and who better to encourage the trust necessary for trust falls?
Well, his future prospects are kind of dim right now because, correct me if I'm wrong, he ended his campaign in debt and also committed multi-million-dollar campaign fundraising violations.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he also gave up his House seat. So it's a long road back to the top. I don't think he makes it. I think in Massachusetts at this point, he would be liable to lose a House primary to I don't know who the Democrats are drafting these days. The guy who trained the Panamanian death squads or whatever. Pretty sure that guy would beat him. That's the guy who took his seat.
Yes, Jake
Jake Reinhard Heydrich.
Yeah.
But we'll see. He's very young, so we could possibly see him lose a state comptroller's race, a school board race. We could see him move to Buffalo, New York, and lose the mayoral election. Who knows? We'll see.
I think Massachusetts is one of the few states that does have a literal elected dog catcher.
Yes.
Yes. They love doing that shit in New England. Okay, so that's J.K. the Third. Good luck to him. Next we have, let's go with Virgil.
Okay, you know who this is. It's Hunter Biden.
Oh, yeah.
He's been in the news, or rather hasn't been in the news, because all information about him has been tactically shadow banned from the internet. A little about him. He went to Yale in the 90s, then he got some jobs in the business industry. He was appointed lead conductor of Amtrak during the Bush administration. When he was 43, I don't think a lot of people know this. When he was 43, he applied to the Naval Reserve. This is while his dad's vice president, for just no reason that makes sense. And he was kicked out instantly for testing positive for cocaine. And he said he tested positive because he was smoking cigarettes that he bummed from guys who were doing cocaine. And the cigarettes were laced with cocaine. And this is from Wikipedia. He chose not to appeal the matter with his, perfectly cromulent explanation, as it was unlikely the panel would believe his explanation given his history with drugs, and also due to the likelihood of the news leaking to the press, which it ultimately did anyway.
Okay, the only thing I'm getting out of this is hoping that his explanation is true, because the idea of a cocaine-laced cigarette is, that's a chocolate and peanut butter situation.
Yeah.
It's what do you mean?
It's just a delicious. That's just a great. That's just great. That's chunky monkey right there. That's brilliant.
I don't think you can smoke powdered cocaine.
You can.
Virgil-
I'm just not familiar.
Virgil, let me dream. Okay.
Hunter, I want to talk. I think the Navy story is my favorite Hunter thing.
Yeah.
Because if you read that article, they're coming back from Bo's funeral, Hunter and his wife, and he goes, "I think I'm going to join the Navy." And his wife goes, "You have to be sober to do that." And they were just sat in silence for the rest of the car ride. That is so awesome. But also, like, joining the Navy when you're 43 because you have to find yourself is, I think that is like, you ask me who is Hunter Biden, that is Hunter Biden.
Not even the Navy, the Naval Reserve.
Yeah.
This is a guy whose angst, whose just like sense of himself as a being thwarted by his own weakness, but his ambitions clearly being big enough to require the sort of self-destruction that he wreaks upon himself, has led him to a position now where the entire global deep state media apparatus of government has hit a big red button to prevent people from finding out about his foot job and crack smoking videos. That is how powerfully fucked up he is, that he is, in the last weeks of this election, just grinding the thing to a halt and fixating all the minds of every Republican psycho on earth and every terrified liberal in a position of media power to keep people from talking about Hunter's foot jobs.
Which is, honestly, it's talk about eating your seed corn here. If you're going to press the big button and just do overt censorship, why waste it on this, which is not even a story, if it got huge play, that was going to impact the election, because nobody genuinely cares.
I'll tell you why, because that's how fail Hunter is. That's how powerfully fail he is.
Hunter is living in Groundhog Day. Like, Hunter, like, his actions. Have you, seen or heard whispers of the hacked materials where, he measures his dick, and it's, by the way, 9 inches.
No, he measured it wrong. You can clearly.
It's probably 7.5.
It's closer to 7.5. If you can see how he angles the tape, and it's just such an obvious dumb guy lying move.
Yeah.
Like, anyone with 2 eyes can see. Like, dude, what? That's not how you measure a cock.
Hunter
I have a don't look at people's nudes rule, so I'm not looking at it, but I do firmly believe that he got one of those little 90-calorie airline Coca-Cola cans to use for scale. Like, he's one of those guys. For his
he uses an actual tape measure, and he basically takes the hypotenuse of his dick.
he has a decent dick, but it's not 9 inches.
Yeah, but still great.
It's still a great dick, but he's fucking girls on like a floor mattress. Literally, it's just on the floor. There's like, he has, those posts where it's like, this is what my room looks like because I'm a bisexual Gemini, and it's just like empty McDonald's cups and trash everywhere. That's what Hunter's room looks like, and he's like 50.
Yep.
Yes.
He's living it.
But Hunter, if you look at those, about Hunter's life between that, like his lifestyle, and the thing where he's like, I'm literally gonna go to China and have Chinese intelligence do a multi-million-dollar business deal with me. It's like he is, in some part, it's when Bill Murray keeps trying to kill himself in Groundhog's Day. He's like, how can I fuck this up? How can I, like, be sent to prison and, like, keep my dad from getting elected? And the universe is like, no, No, it will make it illegal to post a news article about you. No one can talk about you.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of his saving grace here is that he does have the Biden magic, where tragedy and blessings are visited upon him in equal measure. He just manages to blow it constantly. I mean, he's his own biggest. I mean, he's very self-destructive, but he somehow. I mean, like that China. He got a diamond out of it.
He got a giant diamond.
He got a diamond. I didn't know that.
They
Yeah.
need him with a diamond, yeah.
That's just like a normal. That's
Like
a normal
Indiana
welcome
Jones.
to our
Was he off?
country.
Like Indiana Jones swapping for the remains of Emperor Murhachi.
Was he offered a choice, like let's make a deal style? Like you can have the cash or you can have this
The box.
diamond.
The box. Yeah.
And I'm still getting my head around the fact that one of the women he was dallying with in this this middle-aged Rumspringa he's on is Weed Slut 420.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. He's finding Instagram thoughts. He's not just like Chinese intelligence honeypots, homeless women apparently, according to that New Yorker article, and e-thoughts. It's amazing.
But these aren't even
all the ladies on the line.
These aren't even honeypots. He's just taking these. All the photos I've seen in videos are just like photos and videos he's taken of himself.
I'm sure though that they just get in the room with him to make sure that that like there's the bug in the laptop or whatever.
I mean, how certain are we that Hunter has made any effort in his life to keep any of this private?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's
He's an open book. Like that's his virtue. Is like, look, yeah, I guess I am a piece of shit.
Yes.
yeah, because he does have the soul of an artist, of a tragic artist.
He does paint
and
too.
he
went to LA a while ago and he was painting.
Yep.
I mean, you see his back tattoo of the Finger Lakes, and you just see him just getting so fucking high in like every apartment Felix has ever lived in. And it's like, I know exactly what the spiral is for him every single time. He tells himself, all right, I'm not going to smoke crack. And then whoops, he's smoking crack.
God damn
with
it.
like a fucking Instagram poet and a fucking like Red Scare guest. And he smokes too much crack, and then he just goes and he sobers up and he goes into this fucking shame spiral, and he's like, fuck it, life isn't worth fucking living. I'm gonna join the Naval Reserve. Don't try to stop me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's, I guess, in any objective sense, he's a bad guy, right? He's
Sure.
trading off awful family's name. He's going all over the world doing deals with God knows who. He's irresponsible. He's reckless. He's impulsive. But you can't help but like him because he knows he's all these things.
Yeah.
And it's destroying him inside. That
Yeah.
and everything else.
He hasn't built some sort of fantasy justification for his position, or he's so just dull that it doesn't even occur to him, that allows like some of these other failed kids to just grease through life without having huge spectacular scandals, because they're not accumulating that sense of discontent and alienation, because they are in some respect delusional about their own relationship to the
You know
world.
what the perfect Hunter thing is? Don Jr. has slaved for the past 5 years to do everything that would make his dad love him. Going out of his way to make him try to win the election on the margins, campaign for congressional seats he needs, just making meme after meme about how his dad's so cool and hot and fucks everyone. Hunter is probably his dad's biggest fucking liability politically, besides his own
Absolutely.
dementia.
Yes.
Reckless, like nearly tore apart his family by fucking his brother's widow.
Seriously.
Left her for like God knows who else. Ended up with a woman who he married after knowing a week and got a tattoo that said Shalom on his bicep. Knocked her up. All this shit.
Getting sued for paternity.
Like hugely embarrassing things. And is like he literally like so heartbreaking. Texts his dad, I'm sorry that I'm so fucked up. That I'm such a fucked up drug addict. And the thing that went viral, the thing that everyone talked about, was his dad going, "You're not fucked up. I love you." Like his dad saying, "I love you" in front of in a private moment, so you know it was authentic, and then everyone sees it. what is Don Jr. gotten from his dad publicly? Like, thanks, good job, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay,
just
have
like
a good
a
one.
handshake.
I actually had to
Oh,
backtrack
God.
because I
Brutal.
was under the impression that because, Biden had, the good son that died, and Hunter's, mother died. So he's had a life of tragedy. I assumed that Biden was just always, I assumed it was a kind of stand by me, the wrong son died situation. But I take that back. Yes, he's embarrassed of his son. But Hunter's, what he has going for him is he actually does have his father's love and a diamond.
Hunter
I
is
know.
Hunter. Amber, you put it perfectly when you said a unique sense of blessing and curses. Like everyone sees your humility. Like imagine you take a photo high out of your mind where you're wearing a sheer length jacket, sunglasses indoors, and no shirt. You wouldn't want your enemies to see that. Everyone saw it. Everyone saw you fucking weed slut 420. Everyone saw your disgusting room. Everyone knows everything about you. But then the only thing everyone could talk about is how much your dad loves you.
He does.
Wow.
He really does.
To get out of that,
Yeah.
imagine your dick pics leak and everyone just talks about how it's big. What a life.
Oh man.
What a biblical figure our guy Hunter is.
Yep. Yeah.
King-
Meanwhile,
King
if
David,
DJ, if DJ TJ ever had a scandal, it would be because like Aubrey O'Day or whoever leaked his sects or something, and then his dad would, if anything, be like, "Loser Don Jr. Pat, look at the penis. I'm not sure if he's mine." Just shred him. It would be an additional destruction.
Don Jr.'s sex would be like, it's going to be so lit when I'm in your vagina. Like everyone, it would be a national laughing stock.
Yeah.
Like every woman I follow is talking about how hot Hunter is.
Yeah.
Like just different beasts.
Hunter, Don Jr.'s sex are like, ooh, I'm horny.
He uses the tongue emoji a lot.
Oh God.
Yeah. Whereas Hunter's sex is like he sends a picture to the girl with like just holding a gun to his forehead. And the woman is just like, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
All right. So next we get let's go with Amber. Chelsea Clinton.
Well, okay, so obviously like the Fredo of the Clinton crime family. Like there's Chelsea's main thing is that she is incredibly lame.
Yes.
I think that in some ways serves to her advantage because she doesn't have the kind of disaster energy that, say, a Hunter would have, but she is deeply cringe constantly. So, I mean, getting the jobs with the, Clinton Foundation, the Clinton Global Initiative, I mean, that's embarrassing. Marrying the guy with the fake job, the investment banker, that's embarrassing. But it's really her sort of parallel professional pursuits that are the worst thing about her. I think her sort of aspirations of being kind of a public mommy figure. Famous women that venture into children's book authors, the worst people on earth. Like the absolute worst people on earth.
It's such a transparent cash grab. It's just like, money, please. Here's 5 pages where I just like sit down with some hack and go, and then I just want her to kind of look like a young me, but like if she was a blueberry, and then you just.
You know what's so evil about the kids' book racket is you're just a new generation of children. You're just implanting all your shitty neuroses on them. It's like the book is like, it can be very simple, and it's like, it's called like, The Happy Caterpillar, and it's like about a caterpillar who's not good at turning into a butterfly, but it's okay. But it's like written, and even though it is probably mostly ghostwritten, it is still part of the product of the psychological development of a complete cipher who, like, her only input from the world is just like being given these gifts from global capital on behalf of her parents, and then people who are like, your dad's a pedophile, and they're kind of right.
Yeah. See, that's the other thing too, is that obviously like this is a landmine for her, because I think she should just generally stay away, given her last name, from anything children related. I mean, it's a red flag immediately. But she's like, no, I'm going to become like a Twitter mommy blogger, and I'm going to write a book about girl bosses. And the other thing about the kids' book thing is that the worst part about it is that if you're arguing that it's not grooming, which, whatever, allegedly, what you're doing is writing books for a 6 to 9-year-old age level that will only be bought by women with 8 unpaid internships that went to Brown.
Yep. No child will read it.
No child.
Not a single child will read it.
Do not care.
And honestly, though, I think the biggest crime that Chelsea has ever committed is her endorsement of the condom blowjob. I think we can all agree on that.
That was wild. Yeah, Chelsea. The big thing I think about with Chelsea is her clapbacks. Like when
this is my thing though. Like, well, look, we will get to that part. Hang on, just a second. First, I want to go with the spinach pancakes. Does anyone remember this?
Oh yes, I do.
I remember.
Right. Okay, so obviously, one of the worst crimes you can commit online is posting your ugly food.
Mm-hmm.
And she combined that crime with the helicopter mom thing, because her kid apparently has an iron deficiency or something. I assume they're using its blood for adrenochrome, and like the blood loss itself, obviously contributes to an iron deficiency. So she makes these spinach pancakes, which are absolutely horrifying looking, and people rightfully roast the green monstrous pancakes. Her response to it is as if someone insulted her child personally. And she has a meltdown about the pancakes. So much so that the Washington Post actually wrote an article, Chelsea Clinton responds to criticism of her spinach pancakes, which are in quotes, because even the Washington Post can't fathom the idea of a concept like spinach pancakes. Like, they're pancakes in definition, by the most technical definition, but having spinach in them really reduces it's in a different genre now. And this actually made news in 2017. I just want to read the opening line here. This is a 36-year-old woman. Political scion, college professor, mother of 2. Chelsea Clinton is many things, but food photographer, she is not. I think the idea that your cringe post makes it into the Washington Post because your response to it is so embarrassing. I don't know. There's something more undignified than having M&Ms on your dick there. I mean, I think she's a really strong contender here. And obviously, like, the greatest example, though, of her cringe is her, political battles with friend of the show, Adam Friedland.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that she had to ban a Comtown cast member for anti-Semitism on Twitter, because that's how she posts. She posts cringe. She cannot let it go. And that's her main cultural contribution at this point. That's the only thing that she can do. That's the only public space she can carve out for herself.
Yeah, Chelsea Clinton's repertoire, like we just alluded to the condom blowjob post, that was because someone just, letting off steam at work or whatever, just replied to her, like, suck my dick. And she said, maybe with a condom, which is also a great way to protect yourself, like a mask. Wear a mask. Like, when QAnon Gary says to her, you're going to be executed for pedophilia, you sick bitch. And she said, she'll go like, oh, well, maybe I should have gotten my flu shot, but the second part, that's your call. And
right.
Then the most chastened, bowed people on the earth, the people who want to be terracotta soldiers in the Clinton tomb, cheer her on. Like, It is perverse behavior.
She can't stop. She has a pathology. I mean, in some ways it is similar to Hunter in that she's compulsive about it, but it's so much more embarrassing because there's something truly piteous about a crack addict whose like brother and mother died, and who just cannot get his shit together. This girl, it's so much more disgusting to look at somehow.
Yeah, it's more upsetting for whatever reason.
Yeah, I can't pinpoint it, but she truly is. There's nothing cinematic or interesting or truly sympathetic about her failures.
There's no pathos.
Yeah. It's the kind of she's the most HR kind of like fail kid, I think.
Yeah.
Can I just add one last detail about her that I saw recently? According to Business Insider, when she was being paid $600,000 annually for a contract with NBC News, they did the breakdown and ended up that she was paid $26,724 for each minute she appeared on air.
Yeah.
That's how much it costs to get a minute of her?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, we make more than that.
Yeah, that's basically her cameo cost, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, let's get a shout out
let's
from
get an
Chelsea.
email in there.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing though with these people. It doesn't matter how much of a technical failure they are on any level that we would value as a society or should. They're still making like $27,000 a minute for this stuff.
Yeah, Chelsea is probably one of the most profoundly untalented people in the public sphere.
Yeah,
But very well compensated per talent.
yeah,
Yeah, she's the ideal notion of a kid who just absorbs nothing, just like a blank bolt or just a slug. She's just an absolute dud in every respect, which you have to think that the Clintons are deeply, deeply, deeply ashamed of. Because, they're the fucking Macbeths. They want to create like a little antichrist to go out and continue their dark mission. And they just got this I love lamp ass daughter who just kind of wants to stare at the drywall.
I don't know. I feel like to some degree it is the parents' fault.
Well, certainly. But,
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think it's what they wanted.
yeah.
Bill Clinton Bill Clinton's one of the greatest demons of the last 40 years. A true soulless fucking sociopath scumbag who in a civilized society would be made an example out of. I mean, with a Bartlett-style rebuke verbally. But undeniable magnetism. Everyone, friend and foe, bring it up. The undeniable charisma and personal magnetism of Bill Clinton. Do you think Chelsea has that?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's Slick Willie. I mean, it's that for a reason. I mean, he had a, major like public embarrassment and somehow came out of it, like people were nostalgic about him during Bush 2. They were like, remember that? He did the one thing, but is that really a big deal? And,
After NAFTA.
yeah, people liked him so fucking much. They liked him. He got rehabbed quicker than maybe any American president. They adored him just because he had just like a
he was
baseline
almost
charisma.
never. You can almost say like at the media level he needed a redemption, but he never really lost popularity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even during the depths of the impeachment, so he never even really had to come back. That's just how powerful his hold was over people.
Yeah. And Hillary, obviously very polarizing figure, like absolute awful shit candidate, but commands a small army,
There are people.
has dedicated followers. Chelsea hasn't been able to leverage that into anything. She is the I Love Lamp daughter.
Hillary is at least spiteful and will go out to destroy anyone who harms her, and she is loyal to her most inner circle, the Humas, the whatevers.
She's got big Ahab energy.
I can't think
Yes.
of anything like that for Chelsea. I can't think of anything for Chelsea. I can't think of anything she does.
Just a total nullity,
Yeah.
which might make her the most fail, honestly, because she's failed at even being capable of failing.
True. She's just
Yep.
static. Like you
Yeah.
look at her and it's just an outline of television static.
Yeah.
The only
it's not
time
good.
she ever shows up is when she, makes the news for just being embarrassingly cringe in a suburban housewife kind of way.
Okay, so finally we got Felix.
Dude bros, start your whining, because here's a badass chick in the pharmaceutical industry. Starting as a clerk at Mylan, a now massive concern that owns EpiPens, Abbott Laboratories, and several lethal injection drugs, we have Heather Bresch. Heather Bresch, the daughter of Democratic hero Joe Manchin, rose to the position of CEO. But it wasn't just her brains and charm. No, behind every successful senator's daughter, there is a pained, fat-faced ogre who is completely purple for half of the time. That's right. In 1992, when Joe Manchin was just a repulsive state senator and not yet an utterly repellent U.S. senator, he told Mylan CEO Mylan Puskar that his daughter was looking for work. Sadly, the world hates a woman who kicks ass and takes names. Bresch, who had risen to CEO, was accused of not completing her MBA, which is already a degree for babies. She still ran the company like a boss. Mylan's success was so shocking that even Democrats called them out, with the late Elijah Cummings mansplaining to Bresch in 2016 that his allergy-bro constituents were being exploited by Mylan raising the price of EpiPens by 500%. Bresch countered by stating Mylan only profited $100 per unit. The units range from $500 to $700. Mylan was also accused of being part of a price-fixing cartel for generics and had to pay the government $465 million as part of a settlement for underpaying Medicaid rebates. But sometimes you have to put your hair into a messy bun, get a pot of coffee going, put on some gangster rap, and handle it. Leaving the company in 2019 with a $37.6 million exit package after 28 years, spitting in the face of your dad's pig constituents, and getting your shit sandblasted by Croatian boymen that you import in shipping containers until you peacefully die at age 140, surrounded by cretinous Manchin family members who want a bigger chunk of your inheritance so they can make their Goblin Core melodic crunch vibe rap album, which will be the most popular genre of music when Bresch dies of natural causes in the year 2110. Peace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all. That's about right. The perfect exemplar of the failed child as just a carrion eater. Like, hey, my dad's got this whole political career and this profile. I could be a politician, but I could also just make a lot of money with some of the monstrous fucking corporate interests that backstop his entire career. And I'm just going to lay in the cut and just soak it in like some bottom-feeding sucker fish.
Though you left one out, there's circumstantial evidence that Bresch and Mylan are behind the Beat Bernie 2020, were behind the Beat Bernie 2020 super PAC that appeared in February.
Oh, you mean Hillary? You mean Hillary Warren? Hillary Warren's super PAC, the one she said she wouldn't have.
No, this was not a candidate-aligned super PAC. It was one that appeared out of nowhere and spent millions of dollars to sink Bernie.
Just a bunch of concerned citizens.
Yeah.
That's what it's done. Actually, that's what their Twitter bio says, Amber. We are Democrats, people of color, millennials. We're regular voters who want a candidate that will hashtag unite the left. It's finally time to hashtag Pete Bernie.
Yeah. She is, I think, out of the Democratic bracket, Heather Bresch is the shittiest person.
Oh, absolutely. Dog
No
shit
contest.
soul of garbage.
Well, this brings up the question of what rubric do we use to decide who advances? Is it the person who has failed the most profoundly, or is it the person who has done the most evil?
I don't think it's the person who's done the most evil, because that's not necessarily
That's not a failure.
fail.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that she's fail in the sense that she's certainly not doing her father any favors as a part of his political project, which is where I think the fail part comes in. But she's making her fucking stacks, and she's staying on the right side of Johnny Law, unlike Hunter. I think the choice comes down to Hunter, if our definition of fail is like the most spectacular failure, or Chelsea, if it's the most profound existential like failure, because Hunter has failed magnificently, but Chelsea is incapable of failing in any way that is noticeable, because she is incapable of presiding over any sort of character, any sort of like will to power, which I can't think of a more thorough failure to carry on the legacy of a family than her failure to provide any sort of like vessel for anything. Like
It's
she is just a half empty glass of tap water of a human being.
It's almost actually difficult to compare them. I mean, it's really apples to oranges. It's like Hunter is like the Michael Bay movie of failures, and Chelsea is like a Chantal Ackerman movie of failures.
Yeah,
like it's a bleak French movie full of silence and slow, intense degradation. So
Yes.
it's like, it's really difficult. It's really difficult to compare them. One is spectacular, and one is mind-numbingly banal in a way that is frankly also traumatic to observe.
Yes.
I have to submit my vote for Chelsea because Hunter, for how foul he is and how cursed he is, he also has whatever covenant with God, whatever magical thing can pull him from the jaws of hell.
Blessed and cursed in equal measure. That's the Biden magic.
He is going to be the president's son, most likely. Chelsea is the dead end of the Clinton dynasty. She has nothing. And I don't think her parents love her.
I don't either. And I will say this, in many ways, Hunter being the president's son is a massive failure on his point, on his end, because he wants that not to happen more than anything. He doesn't want to be the president's son. He wants his father to succeed, but he doesn't want to be a part of it. It must be just absolutely grinding for him to have that kind of ambivalence.
I do not believe that Hunter is a failure by his own standards. I believe he is a true romantic. He is someone who recognizes the triviality of business and politics, which is why he eschewed a career in the business industry or following in his father's footsteps. He's someone who recognizes the ephemerality of all human success. He's someone who doesn't care if he lives or dies, and I respect that. So I'm going to go with Chelsea.
Yeah, me too. I think it's Chelsea.
Yeah.
So